بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين. So inshallah we're going to talk today about a verse of the Quran from Surah Al-Mudaththir, which is Surah number 74, and the verse is 39. And in this verse, the previous verses are discussing, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is discussing the situation of the people in the hellfire, and that there will be the angels of the hell fire, and so on. But this verse I want to kind of focus on is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says all of this suffering and all of this, or what's going on, will be an exemption, or those who are the people of the right, they will be exempted. They will not go into this fire and see what's all the suffering and everything else that the people who are disbelievers are going through. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes into next and then describes a conversation that happens between the people in the heaven and the people in the hellfire, which means that despite this, that this group cannot be in that, they can talk to each other. So there's communication. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing, of those who are in the right, were in the heavens, and they were asking one another. They were kind of inquiring about who. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إلا أصحاب اليمين في جنات يتساءلون عن المجرمين. They are asking about who? Those who are the wicked. The wicked means the people who are, disbelievers, the people who have gone astray. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing them as being wicked, evil, and those people knew them during this life, and now they're saying, I wonder what happened to them. And then the next verse comes, and then it seems like they are asking them directly. So they kind of almost like looked and found them. And where did they find them? They found them into the hell. And the question is, what has ended up you into the hellfire? And of course they know, obviously, because what they already described them as the evil or the wicked. That means they expect them. And that's why they looked and saw them and they asked them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is putting this futuristic conversation as a way for us, as a reminder, as an advice for those who are believers, as well as disbelievers and those who are doing the wickedness and so on, to tell them this is what's going to happen, because we can't see the unknown, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, and He is giving us almost glimpses. It's like visions of what's going to happen to help us redirect and refocus our path while we are alive. So it says, what has ended you into the fire of hell? Now, the scholars say here it's not saying fire of hell, it's called saqar. And saqar is a description of one type of the fire of hell. There is the zamharir, which is it is punishment of very severe cold. We hear the fire of hell, but there's also one that is called zamharir. The saqar is another type. There is a hawiyah. There are different types or descriptions, and it's like people are going to be in these different situations according to what they have done and according to what has prescribed to them in the punishment. So they ask him, why did you end up? What ended you? And here's their answer. The answer comes from those. They say, قالوا لم نكن من المصلين, that we were not those who prayed. And I want to pause here for a second. What does that mean? قالوا لم نكن من المصلين. It could be that they are just disbelievers and therefore they didn't pray. But it could also mean that they were believing, but they weren't practicing. That's very serious because it applies to many people who believe, but they don't practice. Because here, they didn't say, we do not believe in Allah. They say, لم نكن من المصلين. We were not among those who were praying. And that's what ended up us into this type of fire of hell called saqar. What else? وَلَمْ نَكُ نُطْعِمُ الْمِسْكِينَ وَلَمْ نَكُ نُطْعِمُ الْمِسْكِينَ. And we did not feed the need and the poor. What does that mean? They were not paying zakat, because that is what zakat is. Zakat is a requirement for people who have the wealth. They have to give it. It's a requirement. It's not like optional, because sadaqah is an optional. You don't get punished for not giving sadaqah. You are recommended. But when here it's describing lam nakun nut'im al-miskin, that means we were holding back our zakat. And as we described, zakat is only for those who are wealthy enough. And what is wealthy enough? According to translation of what was gold estimate to dollar amount today, the estimate is around $4 to $5. $4 to $5,000 savings for a whole year. So one has that amount of cash or equivalent. That is an asset. It could be stocks. It could be a rental place or whatever it is. That is more than that value. Then at the end of each year, one has to come and calculate and take out 2.5%, or sometimes it varies for people who have, for example, crops. It's a different percentages and so on. But in general, it's a 2.5%. Give it to those who are needy. So they were not praying. They were not giving zakah. What else did they not do? Or they did. وَكُنَّا نَخُوضُ مَعَ الْخَائِضِينَ. And we were indulging in the falsehood along with the others. The word here, and English does not translate well from Arabic, as any language doesn't translate as well. The word here, كُنَّا نَخُوضُ مَعَ الْخَائِضِينَ, has a much deeper meaning in Arabic. Al-khawd means that you are wading. You are wading through shallow water. That is what khawd means in Arabic. Now you can see the translation kind of didn't catch that, even though these are, well experienced translators. But it has another meaning. I mean, the translation is correct. What is the meaning? But the wording is very interesting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is using وَكُنَّا نَخُوضُ مَعَ الْخَائِضِينَ, and we were waiting with the waders. What does that say? It tells you that those who are disbelievers, those who are indulging in this life, living their life here, they are wading in shallow waters. They are wading in filthy waters. They are wading in sewer or in something that is, it's not describing that, but it just means wading in shallow. You're just wading in something that is not worthy. وَكُنَّا نَخُوضُ مَعَ الْخَائِضِينَ. And we were just doing what everybody else was doing, indulging and doing these things that, people enjoy, but it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's description, it is wading through nonsense. And what else? وَكُنَّا نُكَذِّبُ بِيَوْمِ الدِّينِ. And this is really critical. وَكُنَّا نُكَذِّبُ بِيَوْمِ الدِّينِ. And we were denying the day of judgment. So here it kind of tells you that this is applying to the people who are not believing in Allah, because if they believe in Allah, they must believe in the day of judgment. But here they say, we كُنَّا نُكَذِّبُ بِيَوْمِ الدِّينِ. We did not believe, or we denied that there will be a day of judgment. That's why we are doing what we do, because there is no life after, there is no judgment. Or in some cases, they believe they are saved. People who are following Christianity say we are saved by Jesus, and or others Like the Jews say, we are the chosen one, we are guaranteed heaven, we're not going to go to the hellfire. All of this is really denying the day of judgment and what is going to happen to it. كنا نكذب بيوم الدين حتى أتانا اليقين. And then until it was too late and we saw it firsthand that what has happened. And in some explanation, until death. Because when everybody die, they will realize, and when this is so many verses described in the Quran, they will realize that, oh, now we believe. Okay, now we see. Now we realized all of that we've been told is becoming to reality. Here's death. Here's the angel of death, and we are seeing now that this life is nothing, and there's a life after. And it is even described that they will know their situation, like based on how they are going to be, the time of death, they will end up off into the fire of hell or into the heaven based on the status of passing from this life into the life after. If it's easy, if it is, pleasant, that's a good sign. If it is harsh and it is difficult and the death is a struggle in their soul leaving the body, if they see the angels in the most ugly form and all of these things, these are also bad indications that what they have done. And as many verses have said, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, once they realize, they say, give us time, take us back, we will do all the right things. And the answer will come to them that it's too late. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving these verses really very short, very to the point, describing what will make us end up into the fire of hell and how we might be able to avoid it by not doing these things, that the things they were not praying, they were not giving the zakat, charity, they were waiting and indulging, and they were not denying the day of judgment. Because if they did not deny the day of judgment, they would work for that. But because they deny it, they indulge, they say, no, we're just going to live this life. I'm going to, focus on my work, or focus on having fun, or focusing on getting the wealth and all of these things, which is not haram if you are doing it without disobeying Allah, with doing the prayer, with doing the zakat, with preparing with the worship and everything else in our behavior for that day of judgment. Then it is halal. But if you do all of these indulgences and then deny the other aspects, then you are waiting with the other waiters that will be realized. And then that's when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَا تَنْفَعْهُمْ شَفَاعَةُ الشَّافِعِينَ, in the verse 48, saying, so the pleas of intercessions will be of no benefit to them. They will ask and they will need or require help, but it is too late. It is, the time has come, and they are going to be accountable for what they have done. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, so فَمَا لَهُمْ عَنِ التَّذْكِرَةِ مُعْرِضِينَ. So why is it that they turn away from the reminders? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, why are you turning when people are reminding you, when the prophets are reminding you, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us through the verses, through the hadith, or through brothers, or through sisters, or through imams, or through any of these aspects of reminders. It could be a YouTube reminder, anything. Why do we turn away, don't follow that reminder? That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying this, because this has happened from the time of the Prophet ﷺ, from before the time of the Prophet ﷺ, after him until today. These things apply, these are timeless. These verses and the Quran is timeless. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, and these verses will never become outdated. Until the day of judgment, these will be applicable to some people and not to others. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this continues and says, they are not just turning away from the advice, they are running away. They are running away from advice. How did he describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala this kind of description? كأنهم حمر مستنفرة, like they are wild zebras running away from what? فرت من قسورة. They are fearing from a lion. So, when a lion comes, what do zebras run? They run for their life, because these are animals that people could associate then at that time, and still we see it now. We're not living in Africa, but we see all the documentaries and see, and that description makes sense to us. It's very obvious. And that's the beauty of the Quran and the teaching of the Prophet ﷺ, is that these examples that are given are applicable and relevant to us and make sense when we know and we see when a lion comes in, those zebras run for their life. And it is very interesting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes those who are running from advice as if those zebras are running from a lion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking why. فَمَا لَهُمْ عَنِ التَّذْكِرَةِ مُعْرِضِينَ كَأَنَّهُمْ حُمُرٌ, as if they are. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying why. This is advice for them. And all of this is a very, very important thought for us to remember, and also to remind ourselves and look at these verses whenever we are indulging or forget. We turn to these verses and remind ourselves, are we fulfilling what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked to protect us from ending to the ending that those have ended. And I will stop here.